Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this long-awaited and anticipated Hall of Fame presentation ceremony. And we would ask everyone at this time to please rise as the United States Army Junior ROTC unit from Sam Rayburn High School will make the presentation of colors. Please remain standing until the colors have been retreated.
Forward, march.
If you have not already, please raise your right hand and cross your heart as we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag, please. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Order, arms. Forward, order.
And it was always my privilege at the stadium to add, and may God bless us all. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so pleased and proud to welcome back to the podium South Houston High School Assistant Principal, Mr. Joe Horton.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much, Joe. That was absolutely beautiful. And thank you for joining us tonight for our 10th anniversary celebration of the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame. My name is Bill Barmore, and I'm chairman of the Athletics Hall of Fame. And on behalf of the Hall of Fame committee, we want to express how truly honored we are tonight to have another opportunity to be part of this incredible event. And we so appreciate you joining us. It goes saying that every Hall of Fame event in these past few years has been special, but this one is special in a different way. Because of the events over the last couple of years, each one of us was impacted either directly or indirectly. This pandemic put a halt to our Hall of Fame event that was originally scheduled for April 4th, 2020. At that time, we were only 1 month away from inducting the Hall of Fame class of 2020. Fortunately, through time and grace, we were able to rethink, reimagine, and refocus our efforts to create a new game plan because, as they say, the show must go on. So tonight, after a 2-year wait, we finally have the opportunity to hold an event that's truly deserving of our 2020 class. We have some special guests in the audience that are with us tonight. I'd like to start by introducing our Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees. Please rise as I call your name. Pasadena ISD School Board President, Marshall Kendrick, and his wife, Denny. School Board Vice President, Vicki Morgan, and her husband, Bill. Board Secretary, Kenny Fernandez, and his wife, Casey. School Board Assistant Secretary, Nelda Sullivan. Board Member, Paula Gonzalez Fusilleri, and her husband, Johnny, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Board Member Casey Phelan and his wife Diane, and Pasadena ISD Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Deanne Powell, and her husband Lance. We'd also like to recognize Mayor Jeff Wagner and his wife Jenny, and Rex Lindberg, who's the Director of Community Relations and Communications for the City of Pasadena, is here tonight. We want to give a special thank you to Mayor Wagner and to the staff of the Pasadena Convention Center for letting us use this beautiful facility. Thank you so much. Hey, joining me at the head table tonight, you've met Mr. Joe Horton, the South Houston High School Assistant Principal. This is on my right, and this is my wife, Jackie. On my left, we have our speaker, Jason Bristol, who will be formally introduced later. And we have Bob Fawcett, who's our tonight's announcer, and his wife, Paulette. We also want to take a moment and introduce our previous Hall of Fame inductees who are in the audience. Our first is Donna Branch, Sam Rayburn High School Class of 75, former Dobie Girls Volleyball coach and Assistant Athletic Director. Coach John Bryan of the 1980 Dobie High School State Champions for cross country and 1981 track and field teams. Dr. Troy McCarley, Assistant Superintendent of Communication and Special Projects, who's son of the late Gene McCarley, Pasadena High School Class of 1955. Coach David Webb, Pasadena High School Class of 1959. Wayne Adams, South Houston High School Class of 1967. Carl Schote, Pasadena High School Class of 1959. Randall Kerbo, Pasadena High School Class of 1959. Jimmy Johnson, Sam Rayburn High School Class of 1976. John Holmes, South Houston High School Class of 1986. David Fries Levin, Sam Rayburn, Class of 1971. Trevor Cobb, Dobie, Class of 1989, and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. Bruce Dowdy, Pasadena High School Class of 1967. Danny Barfield, son of the late Coach Bob Barfield, a Pasadena High School coach. Bill Newcomb, Pasadena High School Class of 1956. Calvin Kowitsky, Pasadena High School class of 1964. Lanny White, Pasadena High School class of 1968. If there's anyone in the audience that we've missed, please stand so that we can recognize you. Thank you so much for our prior inductees attending. That means a lot to our current inductees. We also want to recognize our sponsors who help make this event a success every year. For the third consecutive year, our local community members and business people have had the opportunity to sponsor each of our inductees. And I'm happy to announce that once again, all of our inductees were sponsored for a total of 10 platinum sponsors this year. So let's give our sponsors a round of applause. And this year's sponsors, representing inductee Willie Raby, is platinum sponsor Purdue, Brandon, and Fielder, Collins, and Mott. Representing inductee Marlon Esparza is platinum sponsor ABC Dental. Representing inductee Charlie Gehrig is platinum sponsor Capital Bank of Texas. Representing inductee TJ Mills is platinum sponsor Williams Hart. Representing inductee Steve Prentice is platinum sponsor Gallagher. Representing inductee Ron Schrader is platinum sponsor Community Bank of Texas. Representing inductee Bo Snelson are platinum sponsors Ben and Janice Metter. Representing the Snelson family is platinum sponsor Ameriflex. Representing inductee Brian Willingham is platinum sponsor Texas Citizens Bank, now known as B1 Bank. And lastly, representing the 1993 Dobie Girls Softball State Championship team is platinum sponsor Gulf Coast Educators Federal Credit Union. So thank you again to our sponsors. You know, a lot of people ask, what's inside the Athletics Hall of Fame Museum? If you've never visited, we encourage you to go when you have a moment. It's a great place to learn about the history of Pasadena ISD and Pasadena ISD athletics. So we want to give you a sneak peek on this video of what you can look forward to when you visit. If you please turn your attention to the screens for our virtual tour of the museum.
The Athletics Hall of Fame Museum is one of the neatest places if you've been involved in athletics. You can go back in time and see names and people that you used to admire as a kid on up to current inductees. It's got the plaques of the Hall of Fame inductees, memorabilia, letter jackets, there's trophies, pictures, ribbons that, back in the old days when I was around, people used to pin on the bottom of their jeans. It's just a little bit of everything. It's history. You know, us old guys can go back in time and tell the current kids who this used to be, who that used to be. It brings up old names, old places.
This is one of my favorites, the original football stadium from 1950 to 1965.
For instance, a young football player can hear the story of Bobby Allen, who didn't start as a senior and then got put in the game due to an injury and became one of the best high school running backs ever, went on to a college career, played pro football. There's all kinds of ways that current students can emulate these guys or look forward to being like them. It shows you a standard that can be met. It's a really special place. Ben Metter and I used to get talking about, do you remember oh so-and-so? And those kind of conversations led to getting the museum started. The school district was remodeling the field house, and they ended up with some extra space in the building, and some of the local business people that I know approached the school district and said, you know, with this little extra space here, we could have a neat museum.
One of the most impactful things I learned was that within the district, there's a lot of connections. Pasadena district is like a family. So you'll see people who are very well known coaching other kids who are also well known, who are also coaching other kids who also become well known, and they're all on that wall together. So I'm pretty sure everybody's proud to see each other on that wall, and you just see how it's brought out the success in this district.
I didn't really know Pasadena had this kind of history, and me coming here, seeing all these things, it was an amazing experience for me. I did not know that we dated this back far and have accomplished so many things here in this district. Bert Coan, and no one really saw him as something until he came up and did something. You know, he played his part, and you know, just all the things he's accomplished, he's pretty much an All-American. And that's really inspirational. Now that I've seen all this, it gives me more motivation to continue forward and keep exceeding in what I'm doing as an athlete in Pasadena District.
It's easy to talk about the past, but when you can actually see it and show people and point to pictures, it gives you a sense of community and history. I think it was one of the smartest things that the district ever did.
History lives within these walls, Pasadena history.
Now we'd like to bring back up Bob Fawcett to introduce our guest speaker.
I'd like to invite all of you to pay attention to our speaker tonight. Truly an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to recognize this gentleman. I've had the privilege over the last couple hours to join in conversation with him, and he's outstanding. We've been fortunate to have some wonderful speakers, but I guarantee you, this is high caliber stuff. The slideshow is supposed to be on as we make this introduction. So I'll proceed from the Sugarland Skeeters to a women's professional basketball or football league. Jason Bristol specializes in telling stories that allow people to reminisce, to celebrate the past, to honor the past. He started his career in journalism in 1995, and over the years worked his way in Syracuse, Buffalo, and we're glad he left New York, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. In 2016, he signed off from Central Pennsylvania television screens and wisely joined the staff at KHOU Channel 11. He was their sports anchor, continuously bringing some of the biggest and the best stories about everyday people doing extraordinary things. Jason always loved the storytelling aspect of journalism, but his passion for the field evolved due in large part to his father. Because, get this, his father wasn't a fan of sports at all. I don't know how that happens, but it does. Jason was determined to change his mind, or at the very least, encourage him to give sports a try. So he asked himself, what can I do to make sports interesting to my father? The answer was clear. Tell stories that people never knew existed. With nearly 30 years now in journalism, Jason has received 32 regional Emmy Awards for both sports anchoring and reporting, and has also earned 3 regional prestigious Edward R. Murrow Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my pleasure to welcome to the podium Mr. Jason Bristol.
Thank you. That's some introduction. Thank you, everybody. Normally, I just get a little 3-4 second intro that goes KHO 11 Sports, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tonight, NFL Draft, people are thinking, wait a minute, why are you here? Well, this is one of those situations where 6 months ago, I thought this was on a Saturday. But I am thrilled to be here because this is what sports is all about. We are actually living, or have been living, in this golden age of Houston sports. I arrived in 2016, very fortunate to tell the stories of Jose Altuve, J.J. Watt, Mike D'Antoni, James Harden. Okay, not all of James Harden's stories. Been to 3 World Series. Perhaps you'll see some of the pictures on the screen. Me and my broadcast partner, Jeremy Booth, a former Major League scout, that we talk baseball a lot. And, of course, traveling to those World Series, along the way, getting screamed at by Yankees and Red Sox fans. It has been a blast. But I find this as enjoyable or more enjoyable, telling the stories of young athletes working their way up, much like the stories that you will be hearing tonight. Sports, well, when I think of sports, I think of stories, and coming from Pennsylvania, I always think of this one story. I was working at my old station, and someone in the newsroom said, hey, there's a Mr. Horse on Facebook. He's trying to get a hold of you, something about a story. I said, okay, I'll go look it up, Mr. Horse, okay. The real poster was Metro Meteor, the painting racehorse. Here's one of my #1 rules when it comes to working in a newsroom. When a painting racehorse hits you up on Facebook, you make that call back right away, all right? Can anyone imagine what a painting racehorse looks like? What a painting racehorse does? Okay, thank you. So what do horses do? The owner of this retired racehorse stuck a brush in its mouth and proceeded to let the horse paint. Those paintings, by the way, were selling for hundreds of dollars, and the money was being used to help rescue and feed and care for other retired racehorses. Like, isn't that the coolest story ever? It later got picked up by the New York Times and other national media outlets. And again, that is just really one of the cool things that come across your desk, oftentimes when you're not expecting it. But again, you know, this is a golden age of Houston sports. Super Bowl 51, right? In Houston, NRG Stadium, there was that comeback, Patriots and Falcons. Everyone's always like, you were there? Yeah, I was there. It was incredible. Let me tell you what incredible sometimes means. While a lot of you were watching at home in your comfy chair and big screen TV, what they do before the end of the game when you want to go out on the field is they basically take all the media out of the press box or their seating areas, then weave them down a bunch of stairs and then corral them in a pen, 300 people outside the stadium watching on a 15-inch screen, one television, the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. Folks, it is real glamorous, isn't it? Huh? Isn't that great? During a pandemic, what do you do when there's no sports? I'm going to ask my friends to put a picture from my home up on the screen. In it, or on it, you'll see a guy with a green screen wearing shorts. Oh, some of the best times of my life. That was my setup during the pandemic when we weren't allowed to go back to the station. Shorts, green screen can take you anywhere. And during that time, I had this idea. Houston, from what I've read, was such a bizarre, crazy, wild place in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. I thought, why not highlight some of those stories that people have forgotten about? So I came up with this idea called Strange But True Houston Sports Stories. We're talking stories like the former Astros player who, on his bubblegum card, is pictured with his fly down. Not just once, but the next year as well. So those are the kinds of stories, or the 600-pound birthday cake that Roy Hoffheinz made or had made for Willie Mays when he was celebrating a birthday, or the former Astros pitcher who decided he wanted to run off with a playmate instead of playing for the Astros. Those are strange but true Houston sports stories. And if anyone in this room knows anyone who played for the Pasadena Pistols in the late 60s, please contact me, because that is another great untold story, I think, from the Houston area. You know, normally in studio, I have a teleprompter, which This is going okay. It's all right. The next picture will, oh yeah, makeup as well. Makeup is always a huge thing. There should be a picture of me working behind a 2014 Ford Explorer with 160,000 miles. Is that about right? Okay, yeah. What I'm trying to say is it's not always glamorous. But the reason I'm telling you about this is it's not woe is me. I have a dream job. I am so thankful that I get to share your stories, the stories of Houston sports. We are here to celebrate results, right? Championships, titles, great athletes. But let's not forget about the work that goes on when no one is watching. The long practices, the workout sessions, behind the scenes, behind the Ford Explorer. Because that is what it takes to become a Hall of Famer. So, to this entire induction class, past Hall of Famers, we salute you, not because, or not just because of your talent or skill, but because it was that fire inside when no one was watching, when the cameras weren't rolling, the lights weren't on. That is what makes a Hall of Famer. I thank you for inviting me, and I don't have the word yet on who the Texans have picked. And also, make sure to watch KHO 11 News at 6 and 10. Thank you, everybody. Now I would like to welcome the Pasadena ISD Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Deanne Powell, to the podium.
Good evening. I'm so glad to be with y'all here tonight as the proud superintendent of Pasadena ISD. I am glad that y'all joined us to see these amazing inductees into our Hall of Fame here in Pasadena. They have served as amazing role models and of course are definitely ones that we want our current student body to follow. So congratulations to each and every one of you. Let's hear it for our inductees tonight. This evening is just another great example of what goes on here in Pasadena ISD. We have so many great things happening from one corner of the district to the other. So if you have not done so, please go and like us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and other. Stay posted on what's happening in our district. This weekend, I'll be in Austin because Pasadena ISD is one of the top 5 large districts being honored by HEB this weekend. So we're very proud of that. So Jason, on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and Pasadena ISD, we just want to say thank you for being our MC tonight, and we'd like to present you with a token of our appreciation. So if you don't mind coming up, we're going to take a picture because they have a nice plaque for you, sir.
Thanks.
Y'all want us out here? Or this gentleman right here is going to
Is it also for doing a speech in under 5 minutes or keeping it short? So.
So again, thank you for being here and thank you for your support of Pasadena ISD. I'm going to ask Kristen Salinas, Outreach Athletics Trainer with Houston Methodist Clear Lake, to come up. And while she's doing that, if Dr. Brooks of Houston Methodist would come to the front of the stage to have your photo made while we're giving out athletic trainer scholarships. Thank you again. Have a great night and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. On behalf of Houston Methodist Clear Lake Hospital, I'm happy to present this year's scholarship recipients. We are so proud of these students for their contribution to the athletic trainers programs at their respective schools. This year's recipients will be receiving scholarships in the amount of $3,000. We ask that our scholarship winners to please make their way toward the stage and remain there for a group photo. Now I would like to present the first athletic trainer scholarship recipient. From Sam Rayburn, congratulations to Jocelyn Melgar. Jocelyn is a 4-year athletic trainer who has provided assistance to football, basketball, baseball, and softball players. Jocelyn currently holds a 3.22 GPA and has been accepted to 5 colleges and universities, including Mary Hardin Baylor, Lamar University, San Jacinto College, Sam Houston State University, and Stephen F. Austin. She plans to study kinesiology and physical therapy. Congratulations to Jocelyn Melgar. I would like to ask Jocelyn's parents and families to please stand and be recognized. Our next recipient is Ja'Cory Seals. From South Houston High School, Ja'Cory completed his 3rd year in the athletic training program, assisting students in football and basketball. Beyond his work as an athletic trainer, in 2018 and 2019, Ja'Cory participated in a fundraising effort called Fill the Bucket to raise money for cancer research. Ja'Cory has achieved a 3.26 GPA and plans to study kinesiology with an emphasis in sports medicine at Texas Southern University. I would like to ask Ja'Cory's parents and family to please stand and be recognized. On behalf of Houston Methodist Clear Lake Hospital, we are so proud of Jocelyn and Ja'Cory and wish you both the best in your future endeavors. Thank you, and you may return to your receipts. At this time, I'd like to ask Terry Brotherton, Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame committee member, to please come to the podium to present the next group of scholarship recipients.
Good Lord, it seems like 5 or 6 years ago I was arguing with Renika Lee about we can't afford scholarships. Let's see how this thing does. It's such an honor to be able to stand up here and present the next group of scholarship recipients. The goal of the Athletics Hall of Fame Scholarship Committee is to recognize Pasadena ISD student athletes for their accomplishments, athletic involvement at their campus, and in their community, as well as their academic achievements. The committee reviewed many applications and were very impressed with the accomplishments of all of this year's recipients. Tonight, the Hall of Fame committee is awarding 3 outstanding and very deserving student athletes, each with a scholarship in the amount of $2,500. Our first recipient this evening is Kelly Richardson. Kelly, will you please join us up front? Kaylee is known by her coaches and teachers for her intellect, positive attitude, and commitment. She is an outstanding student athlete who is involved in many activities on and off campus. While maintaining a 4.923 GPA, Kaylee has excelled as a volleyball player and powerlifter. She was named the Offensive Player of the Year for District 22-6A and Team MVP for the 2021 season, and she earned Academic All-District, First Team All-District, and the Team Maverick Award for the 2020 season. Kaylee was also named a 2-time regional qualifier on the powerlifting team, and she has served as the team captain for the past 3 years. Kaylee plans to study exercise sports science at Texas State University to become an occupational therapist. Congratulations to Kaylee on being named this year's Athletics Hall of Fame scholarship recipient. Would the parents and family of Kaylee please stand and be recognized? Thank you, Kaylee. You may return to your seat. Our second recipient this evening is Ben Still from Pasadena Memorial High School. Ben, will you please join us up front, please? As early as freshman year, Ben has been leading the Memorial Mavs basketball and football teams. He served as team captain of the basketball team all 4 years of high school and team captain of the football team until his senior year. Throughout his athletic career, he has achieved many successes. He is a 4-time MVP, 2-time All-District student, and he also earned All-State Academic and Honorable Mention in basketball. He holds a 3.7 GPA and plans to study sports management in hopes of one day becoming a coach, so he too can become a Hall of Famer himself. Congratulations, Ben. Can the parents and family of Ben Steele please stand up and be recognized? Congratulations, Ben. And finally, our last student honoree is Greg Carriger of Pasadena Memorial High School. Please join us up front, Greg. Over the course of his high school career, Greg Carringer has excelled as a student, athlete, and community member. He is ranked 3rd in his class with an impressive 5.34 GPA and is recognized among many for his drive to succeed. Greg has achieved many awards as a football player, power lifter, and archer. He was named an All-State Academic Elite Team honoree for academic excellence and one of the top nominees for the Houston Touchdown Club Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. He received the Heart of a Maverick Award while also being named team captain his senior year. As a junior, Greg competed in varsity powerlifting competitions and earned 3rd place during a meet. He also competed in regional and state archery competitions, where his Maverick team was named the Bullseye State Champion for the state of Texas. He is certainly an impressive young man. Can the parents of Greg Carringer please stand up and be recognized? Greg, I would like for you to remain standing here at the front. Before we present the check at this time, I'd like to ask Bert, I'm sorry, it says that you have to come up here. I'd like to ask Bert Coan Jr. to please join me up front for a special presentation. This next presentation is very special to our entire Athletics Hall of Fame Committee. The Athletics Hall of Fame Committee is proud and honored to be able to present our first ever memorial scholarship this year to Greg Carringer in honor of the late Bert Coan. But first, I want to share a little bit about Bert. Not many people can say they have their own football trading card. That is anyone but Bert. He was one of the fastest, one of the tallest, and some might say one of the fiercest running backs to ever play football under the Friday night lights. The 6'4", 190-pound Blazer scored 51 touchdowns and totaled 386 points in 3 seasons with the Eagles, and almost single-handedly won the Class 4A state track meet title in 1957 with gold medals in the long jump, the 100, 220, and the 440-yard relay. Considered one of the top rushers in the old Big 8, Bert moved on to the American Football League, where he played 7 pro seasons with the San Diego Chargers and Kansas City Chiefs. He also played with the Chiefs in Super Bowl I in January of 1967. Bert was inducted into the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame and the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. Bert sets an example for students to follow, and that's what the Hall of Fame is all about. He didn't just play football, he made history. Bert Coan passed away this year on February 19th. While he is no longer with us, he lives in each and every one of us in our Hall of Fame museum, in our memories, and especially in our hearts. Let's take a special moment to reflect on his memory with a special video presentation. We wanted to do something special to honor his memory and continue his legacy. On behalf of the Athletics Hall of Fame Committee, we would like to present Greg Carringer with the first of its kind Bert Coan Memorial Scholarship to benefit future generations of athletes. We'll get some photos. If you would like to contribute to this worthy cause, you can do so right now using your cell phone and a credit card or PayPal. Access our donation form either through the QR code on the screens, motion to screens, or you can text BCON to 41444 on your cell phone right now to access that donation link. Please follow the directions displayed on our event screen, motion to screens. Any amount you would be greatly appreciated, and your name will be shown next to our live fundraising thermometer along with other donors. There's an option to make your donation anonymous as well. We appreciate your love and support for the Bert Coan Scholarship Memorial Fund. Your donations will help to fulfill the college dreams of very deserving students. Thank you. At this time, we would like for all the inductees to meet in the foyer for the induction presentation. Thank you.
And now the moment that we have all been awaiting for quite some time. It's time to recognize the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame inductees. Our first inductee, very special. At 95 years of age, introducing the legendary coach Willie Raby, sponsored by Purdue, Brandon Fielder, Collins, and Mott LLP. And look, if you notice in your program, there's a tribute page for Coach Raby. Right now, I want you to get that out, stand as you are able, and wave it as Coach Raby makes his way down the red carpet. He's come a long way to be here with us tonight. Let's make him feel special. Whether it was track, cross country, football, or basketball, Willie Raby was and will forever be one of the greatest coaches in Pasadena ISD history. Willie was born in Corsicana, Texas, but after nearly 30 years of making a profound impact on the athletics program in our district and its students, he still calls Pasadena home. Willie started his coaching career as early as 1952. Over the years, he claimed many victories, leading some of the greatest players in the district. You know, the test of a coach's character reveals itself in the form of loyalty and respect of their teams. That loyalty and that respect are certainly on display tonight, as some of those star players are here tonight to honor their coach, like Randall Kerbow, Carl Choate, David Webb, and his former star track athlete, Andy Snelson, one of tonight's inductees. Coach Raby is a giant among us. Back when Southmore was a junior high school, Willie served as the head football and basketball coach, along with Coach Don Cole. He continued to coach football at Sam Rayburn High School as a defensive back coach, along with cross country for 16 years. During that Texan track season, emotion-packed and eager to win, Coach Raby's 68 team would be known as the Comeback Kids, as the season was one for rebuilding. But boy, did they surprise the masses, developing into what was considered one of the best track teams in the school's history, breaking record after record. By 1970, the team would place first in the mile medley, breaking 5 school records. Over the years, with the likes of Steve Bledsoe, Kenneth Paxton, and David Webb, Willie led the Texan cross-country team to 2 district championship titles, 1 regional team title, with 7 state meet qualifiers. His track and field teams claimed 6 district team championship titles, 139 regional qualifiers, 28 state meet qualifiers, and a regional qualifier in the 4x100 relay. During several state meets, Coach Raby's track and field team made their mark, with one student setting the #1 national record in the 4x200 meter relay, clocking in at 1:27.9. That is flying. Coach Raby is proud of all these successes, but what he cherishes most is knowing that he made a positive impact on the lives of many students district-wide. Willie retired from Pasadena ISD in 1980. As the school was cleaning out the trophy case during his departure, they found a total of, and listen to this, 58 trophies that his teams had won. I think that deserves its own round of applause. Coach, on behalf of the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame, we are so proud to recognize Coach Willie Raby as a Pasadena ISD Athletic Hall of Fame inductee. Your applause, please. Could we please ask Jason Bailey, representing Purdue, Brandon Fielder, to join us for a photo?
And one more round of applause, everybody. Time now to present our next inductee. We now present to you Marlon Esparza, Pasadena High School class of 2007, sponsored by ABC Dental. Marlon Esparza threw her hat into the boxing ring at the early age of 12. Surrounded by a family which loved the sport, she began competing, training, fighting her way to the top and on to the 2012 Olympics. And Marlon not only qualified to compete, she also qualified as the first American woman to do so. During the women's flyweight division, she won the bronze medal and a gold medal at the 2014 AIBA Women's World Boxing Championships. By the age of 30, Marlon stepped into the professional ring, making history once again. The first female fighter to be signed to Golden Boy Promotions, the boxing firm established by Oscar De La Hoya. Over the years, she has appeared in commercials for Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and also earning a Nike sponsorship along the way. She won her very first professional match. She keeps winning. Just recently, she won the Unified Flyweight WBC Championship title, an achievement she's been striving to capture for years. Her professional record, currently 12-1-0. She was inducted into the Pasadena High School Alumni Hall of Honor. Now she can add the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame to her long list of accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome the new member of the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame, Marlon Esparza. And she brought a belt. That is a perfect item to accessorize with. And could we please have AJ Jabari, COO of ABC Dental, please come up and join us for another picture. Maybe we should just applaud right now, right? Huh? Yeah. Look at that. Marlon, which one is that? WBC. Oh. Oh, shoot, I got to add that to my notes. Darn it. This is the first one? Oh, and she has 2 more. Wow. I feel like I should do an interview. I should just come down and ask some questions. So. And Marlon has appeared many times on KHO 11 News, by the way, so. Congratulations.
It's my pleasure now to present Charlie Gehring, Pasadena High School graduate, South Houston High School coach. Platinum sponsor is Capital Bank. To say Charlie had a successful coaching career would be an understatement. You see, Charlie was not one to lose a race, and it's evident in his coaching record. The Pasadena High School grad of 1959 built one of the best cross-country and track programs in the area, winning at district, regional, and state levels. His cross-country teams captured 6 district titles and 3 regional titles, with multiple students qualifying for a state meet. In fact, his 1985 South Houston team won the bronze medals at the state meet with a 3rd-place finish. In track, Charlie coached 40-plus regional qualifiers and 10 state meet qualifiers. With Charlie at the helm in 1986, the Athletics Hall of Famer John Holmes advanced to the state championship and was selected to the National High School All-American team. Charlie retired from Pasadena ISD in 2007, but you can still likely catch him up at the track, standing there on the sidelines with his South Houston High School coaching shirt and his whistle around his neck, ready to help officiate, start the cross-country and track meets for the intermediate and high schools, or just to enjoy his love. Charlie is a 2-time Pasadena ISD Hall of Famer, as his Eagles 1958 state finalist team was inducted in 2019, and still being the only Pasadena ISD football team to compete for a state crown. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome the newest member of the Hall of Fame, Charlie Gehring. And we'd ask Lyndon Gehring, CEO of Capital Bank, to join us in front for a photo.
And now we present to you the late T.J. Mills, Pasadena High School class of 1972, who is being represented by his family, along with platinum sponsor, William Hart. T.J. Mills' record as a high school coach, that of a homegrown Texas football legend, one of only 2 Texas high school 11-man coaches to win 4 straight state championship titles as the coach of the Sealy High Tigers, his team achieving a record of 63-1 throughout his coaching tenure at Sealy, with 24 straight playoff victories. I will repeat that, 24 straight, the likes of, which are very rare. Coach Mills left Sealy after the '99 season, ending with an overall record of 148, 38-0. He went on to coach the Odessa Permian Panthers for a short span, then returned to the Houston area to coach at LaPorte. TJ retiring with a record of 195-78. His success as a coach recognized across the state. In fact, he has been honored countless times as the District Coach of the Year and the Texas Sports Writers Association Coach of the Year 4 times. He became the 3rd individual from Pasadena ISD to be inducted into the prestigious Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor, an honor also bestowed to his former coach at PHS, Bob Barfield, and Stoney Phillips. His victories as a coach makes sense because, you see, TJ was the type of person who knew the names of every player on his team, not only coached them on the gridiron, but also in life. He made a difference, and he was proud of it. At the young age of 60, Coach Mills passed away, but we still remember him as one of the greatest coaches of our time. In honor of Coach Mills, we would like to celebrate his memory by inducting him into the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame. And could we have Paul White, classmate, teammate, representing William Hart, please join us up here for pictures as well.
We now present to you Steve Prentice, South Houston High School class of 1970, represented by platinum sponsor Gallagher. Steve Prentice made quite a splash as an accomplished high school and college swimmer. Standing 6'2" and at 192 pounds, Steve began swimming competitively after joining the South Houston Trojans team freshman year under coaching legend Lanny Lantrup. During that time, he received high school All-American honors, along with winning the 100-yard backstroke, the 200-yard meter at the district level. He went on to eventually qualify for state and finished third in the backstroke. Rarely does A&M draft, but they hit gold with Pat. He went to work with A&M coach Pat Patterson. He immediately made waves. I guess that's humorous. After joining the team in 1971, setting records in the 100 backstroke, the 200 backstroke, and the 200 individual medley. Steve qualified for the NCAA meet in both backstroke events, and in addition to the Pan American Game Trials in the 100 backstroke, I guess you could say it was a stroke of genius, adding Steve Prentice to the roster. By the time he was an upperclassman in A&M, Steve had already become a swimming star on the team. He went on to win the 100 backstroke at the Southwest Conference swimming meet, finishing second in the 200 and breaking his own record at the same time. My senior year, Steve was swimming in victories as he captured the Southwest Conference title in 2 backstroke events. Steve, we hope you still have space on your trophy mantle because you can now add this plaque to your shelf. Congratulations to our newest member of the Hall of Fame, Steve Prentice. Could we please have platinum sponsor Mike Barmore, representing Gallagher, please join us up front for a photo. Awesome. Aggies in the audience. There we go. We are now very pleased to present to you Ron Schrader, Sam Rayburn High School class 1975, sponsored by Community Bank of Texas. Well, it goes without saying, Ron Schrader loves golf. That's obvious because he's still playing after 50 years. That's a long round. You know, there's something that he loves even more, though, and that's his wife. While they are a house divided, she graduated from Pasadena High School and he from Rayburn, and Lonnie Keller and Carter Lomax are still up there fighting over that. They looked forward to each other after school. And like any typical golfer gunning for a girl, he said, and I quote, "I gotta grab that caddy." And he did. Now, you might be wondering what value this story holds, but as the saying goes, behind every good golfer is an amazing caddy. And she's still his lifelong caddy today. As a professional golfer, Ron won the Jamaican Open, the Colorado Senior Open, the Waterloo Senior Open, and is a four-time winner of the Southwest Senior Mini Tour. After graduating from Rayburn, he attended Sam Houston State, where his golf team won 2 national AIA championship titles, playing on the same team with such as legend Fuzzy Zeller and golf announcer Gary McCord. Ron also was named All-Lone Star Conference his senior year. Some of his other accomplishments include winning the Greater Houston Amateur Championship 5 different times. Adding to his long list of accomplishments, he's a 5-time USGA Public Links qualifier, a 1-time USGA Mid-Amateur qualifier, and a 1-time USGA Amateur qualifier. One of his proudest moments was being named in the 2017 Southern Texas PGA Player of the Year. In 2018, he won the PGA Senior Series for the 2nd time. Beyond all of these achievements, he said the best part about playing golf is getting to set your own schedule and be surrounded by the people you love. Ron Schrader, we welcome you to the Athletics Hall of Fame. Let's give him a round of applause. Travis Jaggers, would you please, as president of Community Bank of Texas, come to the stage for pictures?
And now, presenting Bo Snelson from the Pasadena Memorial High School class of 2009. Bo being sponsored this evening by Ben and Janice Metter.
2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate?
Bo Snelson making history as the first Pasadena Memorial High School graduate to be inducted into this Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame. And this is not the first time he has made history either. Helped the Memorial Mavericks football team go 9-3-1 and earn the school's first ever by-district and area championship titles. In 2008, named one of 50 Old Spice Red Zone National Players, an award given to some of the greatest names in football, such as Tim Tebow. Bo completed his high school career rushing for 4,078 yards, averaged more than 7 yards a carry, most yardage ever compiled by a Pasadena ISD player. In track, he placed 3rd in the Texas State Track and Field Championships in the 4x100 relay with a time of 41.3. He lettered in 4 sports: baseball, football, track and field, powerlifting. After graduating from high school, Bo played football all 4 years at the U.S. Naval Academy. In 2011, his team ranked 4th nationally in rushing offense, averaging more than 312 yards per game. And as a varsity athlete, he was voted team captain, one of the highest honors a Navy varsity athlete can receive. Bo graduated from the Marine Corps Officers School, now serves as a series commander and infantry officer for the Marine Corps in San Diego. Let's hear it for Bo Snelson, another new inductee. Now I would also like to ask Platinum sponsor Billy Smith, representing Ben and Janice Metter, to please join us for another picture.
Please allow me a personal comment. I worked the stadium announcer's booth for about 3 decades. During that time, I saw some awesome football and some awesome football players. But the two that will always stand out in my mind as the most exciting to watch, one already in the Hall of Fame, Trevor Cobb, the other, Bo Snelson. I forgot and left the mic on during one touchdown as Bo went from the 5-yard line across the end zone in the air. And I said, holy criminy, Air Snelson. What a pleasure that young man was to call. Now we extend the Snelson family. This is a first. We start with Billy Snelson and her sons Andy and John as we induct them as well. The Snelson family is being sponsored tonight by Ameriflex. Well, as I said, we're celebrating another first. This is the first family to be inducted into the Athletics Hall of Fame. We start by recognizing the late Billy Snelson, with whom it was my pleasure to work at Pasadena High School. Billy dedicated nearly 40 years to coaching and teaching at Sam Rayburn, South Houston, and Pasadena High. She led her teams to multiple winning seasons and inspired them every step of the way, gathering the respect and the admiration of hundreds of former players, staff members, and even referees. One former player said, "There's something about Coach Snelson. She had a way of commanding respect the minute she entered the room." Another said of her, "You wanted her to be proud of you." That's the type of impact that Billy had on her students. And they still remember and hold her near and dear to their hearts to this day. Billy passed away at the age of 90 on September the 15th, 2018, but her memories live on as a mother, a grandmother, a coach, and a friend. Andy Snelson, the Sam Rayburn High School class of '74, a high school standout in track and field and football under Coach Wiley Raby, Coach Odell Harrison. Andy was an all-state sprinter in track, shattering records with a 9.4-second sprint in the 100-yard dash, still among the top in Pasadena ISD history. After graduation, Andy sprinted for Coach Johnny Morris and Tom Telles at the University of Houston, and he also attended Odessa College for a year under Coach James Segrist. John Snelson. John's success as an athlete are a mirror image of his achievements as a coach. As a 4-year leader in baseball, John played on Rayburn's 1985 baseball team that competed for a Class 5A state championship under Coach Al Campo. He joined the Memorial football team as a coach, a defensive coordinator during its inaugural year in 2003. Eventually, he stepped into the role of head coach in 2006. With Coach Snelson leading the pack, the Mavs advanced to a third-round playoff for a district title, leading eventually to Memorial's first district championship in 2009. John left Memorial in 2012 to become head coach of the Dickinson High Gator football team. And again, I beg a personal note. It is very seldom that an announcer gets to announce a father's name, as I did with John and Alex, but it's even more spectacular that I got to do Bo Snelson. I stand in awe of that family. Let's hear it for our newest members and a tradition breaker, the Snelson family, members of the Pasadena ISD Hall of Fame. Sherry Hutchinson, would you please, as CEO of Ameriflex, join us for the picture?
And now it's time to present Brian Willingham, Pasadena High School class of 1971. Tonight, Brian being sponsored by Texas Citizens Bank, now part of B1 Bank. Touchdown! With Brian Willingham on your team, you knew you would be hearing that word at least once a game. As far back as Brian can remember, he always had a dream of playing football and that satisfying word blaring from the stadium speakers of touchdown. And that wish would eventually come true when Brian joined the Eagle football team. A talented receiver with a competitive drive, Brian earned all district honors his junior and senior years of high school and continued to excel as a player. In fact, led the 1970s Eagles to a district championship title with an astounding 48 catches, 695 yards, and 11 touchdowns. He was also an MVP. After graduation, Brian represented Pasadena at the Texas High School Coaches Association All-Star Football Game in Fort Worth, where he set an unprecedented receiving record of 11 catches, 172 yards, and 3 touchdowns. His accomplishments do not stop there. After signing with U of H, Brian tied for the team lead with 4 touchdown catches in his first season. Tonight, Brian, you are one of Pasadena ISD's MVG's most valuable graduates. Congratulations on your induction into the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame. And can we please have Mike Cornett, Vice President of B1 Bank Houston, come join us for the picture in front.
At this time, we would like to recognize the 1993 J. Frank Dobie High School softball team. They are sponsored by Gulf Coast Educators Federal Credit Union. The 93 J. Frank Dobie High School softball team will go down in UIL history as one of the best softball teams in the state of Texas, setting the expectation for success among future teams. Although the team was comprised of a majority of freshmen and sophomore players, they were known to have a lot of depth and talent with a background in competitive fast-pitch softball. They also had the much-needed leadership of seniors Robin Rackley, Shannon McDonald, and freshman pitcher Krista Williams. While they had experienced a change in leadership to start the first official year of softball becoming a UIL sport, it did build the character and determination needed to get to the state tournament as a team. As the Lady Longhorns made their way through the postseason playoffs, the 93 season coach was replaced by Coach Martha Dossman, who returned shortly after taking time away to get her master's degree to help the team finish off the 93 season on its way to state. The state tournament was held at Pleasant Valley Sportsplex in Austin on May 21st and May 22nd, With the much anticipation in the air for the first ever UIL state softball tournament, there was an additional excitement due to a planned Kevin Costner appearance. With a crowd of 5,000 fans, the Lady Longhorns walked away with a 10-2 win against San Marcos, advancing them to the state championship game against Tomball. It's the final game of the state tournament. The Lady Longhorns and Tomball Cougars both had strong pitching on the mound. It was a scoreless game. With the home team advantage, the Lady Longhorns were 1 out away in the 7th inning, the final inning, to win the state championship title. Senior catcher Robin Rackley spotted an opportunity to end the game and called a pickoff play to the second baseman, Melissa Atkinson. Throwing a bullet to second base, the runner was too far off to go back and was forced to try for third. Atkinson quickly threw the ball to third baseman Nicole Myers, who placed the tag on the runner and the third out, cinching the win for the Lady Longhorns. In addition to winning the title, they carry the great responsibility and honor of being the first UIL state champions with a 1-0 win over Tomball. Krista Williams, Robin Rackley, Nicole Myers, Heather Martinez, all named to the all-tournament state team in addition to receiving the honor of being a member of the first ever state championship team. With us this evening, and I'll ask them to just stick a paw up in the air to let us know who's who. April Cook Davila. Krista Borche Mata. Erica Salazar. Heather Martinez Page. Melissa McCurry. Michelle Love Owens. Nicole Myers Nalepa. Pilar Perez. Shannon McDonald Warner. And with us in spirit, because I believe they're playing ball, Krista Williams Yate, Robin Rackley, and Stacy Clark. Ladies and gentlemen, what a group. Here they claim another place in Pasadena ISD history as they are welcomed into the Pasadena ISD Athletics Hall of Fame. I'd like to ask Joseph Didda, representing Gulf Coast Educators FCU, to please join us up front for a picture. Still has her state ring on. Joseph Diddy, you and I are weeds among the roses. If I'm permitted, it's another one of those personal stories, but you've been around long enough, and Moses and I were good friends. Nicole Myers was a 7th grader when I first saw her playing volleyball at Thompson Intermediate. And I commented to my wife, I said, there is an athlete. And she has proven to be such, and quite a quality lady. Ladies and gentlemen, may we please have a round of applause for all of our new inductees.
Now we'd like to welcome Athletics Hall of Fame Vice Chairman Herman Williams to the podium.
Well, each year at the banquets, we've had the opportunity to have inductees speak for the inductees being inducted. We can't have everybody here, else we'll be here till midnight. So we kind of sat around and decide who's going to be that person out of these inductees that might speak on behalf of all the other inductees being done tonight. And it's kind of a privilege for me, being a South Houston alum, to be able to be introducing a South Houston alum, Steve Prentice. And for all you Aggies, I'm going to guess that's a pretty good deal, too. So I would like to, this time, turn the microphone over to Steve. Steve Prentice, would you come up? And he's going to give a little talk to all of you as to what this induction ceremony means to the inductees.
Let me pull this out. It won't take any more than an hour. He said something about we had to be out of here by 9. And I know that's true because I wear an Apple Watch and it goes off with my bedtime at 9 o'clock. So, but I want to thank you guys for putting enough trust and asking me to do this. And it's not the youngest, but to the oldest, for sure. Coach Raby, what a act to follow as far as a coach. But down to maybe close to the youngest, Marlon, if you don't like what I say, I'm not looking for a fight, okay? So let's just be respectful there, please. In fact, I'd say if you guys play poker, there's this story about this guy who got, you deal the cards out. So I'll take 2, I'll take 3, I'll take 1. The guy who got 3 says, I'd like to give a few of these back if it's okay with everybody. I hope nobody looks at that at the end of my speech and says, I'd like to give a few of those back. So anyway, it's all about coaching. I want you to lock in on that. It's all about coaching. That's a joke that we have among our coaches of the high school baseball program that we started. It's for actually homeschoolers. And my kids know that that is a joke, because whenever we'd have a good play, something really turned out, good hit, somebody stole a base, win a game, whatever, we'd stick our chest out and say it's all about coaching. Now, I know that's not exactly the case in what I was coaching, but I'm going to tell you as we work our way through this evening, which is only going to take a few minutes, that theme's going to ring loud and clear. And if you think back on what you've heard already tonight, it has rung loud and clear. The job of coaching is real. It's impactful. It changes lives, makes a huge difference. And each one of us has the opportunity to be a coach. So I'm just going to share with you that, it's a, as a Hall of Fame inductee, it's accurate to say that each one of us being honored here tonight has a coach that was involved, has a God Almighty that you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mom and Dad, and there's other siblings, there's other players, there's just all sorts of influencers in your life, certainly in my life, that really made the difference. Yes, were we given a God-given gift that we have done the best we knew to do with? Sure, there's a part. There's a part. If you weren't disciplined, you wouldn't be standing on the podium talking about being inducted into the Hall of Fame. But without that support and without the coaching, without the rest of what goes on, of all the rest who contribute to that, it wouldn't happen. So on behalf of the inductees, we say thank you to each one of you influencers, whoever that might be, that played a role in shaping each of these athletes, because that's how that happened. That's how this community of this, in the spirit of what's involved here, of trying to recognize a history of athletics, which really makes the difference in lives. It makes the difference in lives. And Joe, you can sing, man. My goodness. Oh, well, I am honored and delighted that my wife, Teresa Prentice, is here to share this event with me. My brothers, Richard and Alvin. And as I go through this and personalize it a bit, you know that each one of these inductees that are here, they have the same story. There's somebody who's really important to them that's here. And as well as their families. My brothers, Richard and Alvin, are here. My older brother could not be here, but my 4 precious children, Valerie, David, Samuel, and Micah, as well as the friends that chose to be here tonight to support me on this occasion. I had some incredible swimming coaches. At the Dad's Club, there was Richard Quick and Skip Kinney, both Olympic coaches. And it's probably a good thing that Skip Kinney's not here, because I had a nickname on the Dad's Club team, and it was not a good experience for everyone there, but it was pointless and boring. And where that came from is, in swimming, there's times of the season when you just tear the muscles down. You get yourself beat up with long practices and all this. And Skip said, not Skip, Coach Kinney. He allowed me to call him Skip afterwards, but it was Coach Kinney clearly. And he said, okay, we're going to do 10 800s. That's 800 meters, a little more than half a mile. And I was pretty good at math, and I knew that was at least 2 hours for just about everybody in that pool. And I just immediately quipped back without thinking, that's pointless and boring. Oh, I could see the steam on his face. I mean, he turned red, and he locked in on me, and he said, you, Mr. Prentice, will do a dozen of those. Everybody else, let's go. So I had to think about that for about 2 hours, because I was 2 hours and 10 minutes, because I got an extra couple one of those things to do. But anyway, it's probably good he's not here, but because he would remember it, I guarantee you that. But needless to say, that didn't go over well, and my high school swimming coach has already been referred to here, Lanny Landtroop. He passed last year. He was scheduled to be here on the 2020, and if we'd made 2021, he could have made it. But we've all got someone in our life who was very important who's died. And that's my very important guy. He was underneath the water doing filming in order to try to find whatever's the flaw, whatever was the weakness, so you could celebrate that weakness and say, we're going to fix it. So here's a picture of it. Take a look at it, Steve. Focus in on it, because that right there is just not right. Here's the way you should be doing it. And picture says 1,000 words, a video's even more, and it drives it home. But he took the time to know each player, each swimmer, each one he coached, and those you guys who know who he was, that's just who he was. I've got the privilege tonight of my coach that we swam against from Pasadena. Steve Montgomery is here at my table. And he went on to Texas A&M. He was part of my life there, still is part of my life, and made the effort to come tonight. Thank you, Coach Montgomery. I'm also privileged. I wish that it had turned out that Pat Patterson could be here. He was the man who came to Pasadena, was coach for Texas A&M at the time, recruited me, was aggressive about recruiting, and I didn't look anywhere else. I didn't have anybody else chasing me, you know. And he gambled with one of his scholarships and invested it in me. And that was a turning point in my life, because I wasn't really equipped. My brothers had gone to college, and they worked their way through school, and I wasn't quite smart enough to recognize that that was really quite an opportunity to receive a full ride scholarship. And Lanny brought me home from practice one evening, and I said, again, something stupid like, I'm not sure I really want to do that. And go to college and have it paid for and the rest. And he said, seriously? They're talking about paying for your school. It'd probably be a good idea if you'd think that through a little bit. And I said, the more I think about it, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. So anyway, again, a coach taking the time to spend the effort. And Coach Patterson soon went right on to University of Texas. In fact, he did not coach me, but he did in the summers. So he continued to invest in my life throughout, even though he wasn't my official coach at Texas A&M. And that scholarship paid for everything except for Sunday night meals. But as Providence would have it, my Aunt Iva was in College Station, and she invited me over for Sunday night meals, as long as I would go to church. And as I say, as Providence would have it, that's where I received Jesus Christ as my Savior. So a coach influenced a major decision. An aunt said, come on over, but we're going to church. And the impact of that scholarship and the rest of this athletic program that began here just continued to leave marks in my life on and on. So my grandpa had a scripture that he would quote a lot, and that was, whatever your hands find to do, do it heartily as unto the Lord. And my dad would say, if you're going to dig a ditch, make sure it's got a squared corner. Take the time to take that, if that red carpet's a ditch, those things should have square corners on it. If a man asks you to dig a round hole, check the radius. Be sure it's got a round to it. And there wasn't any tolerance for being tardy or not, being exact in what you're doing. And I've taken that same adage and tried to teach my kids some of those same things. And maybe this isn't the best way to say it, but I have said in the pursuit of excellence, first place is first place. Second place is not really second place, it's the first loser. Now, that's kind of funny. Maybe you look at that, but let's work through it just a little bit, because I think it's important. You've heard the saying, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game, right? Is that right? You've heard it. That's not the question. The question is that right? And I would say there's another way to say it, and it is, winning isn't everything, but I did not come here to lose. Does that make sense? Facts are, you don't win every race. You don't. I can still remember in 1971, I was competing there at the Southwest Conference, and Ronnie Mills was a bronze medalist at the Olympics in '68, and he was my target. And 0.2 of a second made the difference. He won. I lost. I was the first loser. I didn't like it at all. But you don't win every race. You just don't. And how you deal with that is really important. But my hope is that what you'd take away from this is whatever you can do, you put your hand to it, you do the very best. And you don't back up just because you get kicked once, or you get down once, or you don't win once. I think of races, I think of Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. And I think of this crowd that's here, and you think of what that scripture says, which is, wherefore we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin that doth so easily beset us. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down before God the Father Almighty at his right hand. I know my goal, and I believe that my colleagues' goal is to finish your life race strong. Quick side note of a important person that influenced me also, another coach, and I think a lot of people know who this guy is. John Wooden, legendary UCLA basketball coach. He demonstrated the most quoted verse in the Bible, very short, but the most quoted verse in the Bible, his life demonstrated. And it's not John 3:16. For God so loved the world, gave his only begotten Son, whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. You think that's it? Nope, that's not it. That's not the most quoted verse. And you say, well, maybe it's not even a verse, but people might think it is. They'll say, well, maybe it's the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd want them to do to you. No, that's not it either. You know what the most quoted verse is? Anybody want to take a shot? It's judge not lest you be judged. You get it all the time. Not necessarily in the right context, but it comes out all the time. And Coach Wooden was in an interview right after Bobby Knight, one of his peers from Indiana, had thrown some temper tantrum or a chair or something across the room, because that was kind of how Bobby coached. And the news guy kept pressing him. He was trying to get him to join in on beating up on Bobby Knight. John Wooden would not do it, would not do it. He was the antithesis to the modern coach. And Bobby Knight, someone said the only players that Coach Knight thought were any good were the new recruits who hadn't joined the team or the alumni who had left the team. But everyone who is currently on the team, he hated their guts. Now, those are real quotes. That was kind of what coaching method he had. And so this news reporter thought he had an easy slam dunk. I can get John Wooden to say Bobby Knight's a jerk. I know I can do it. And Wooden wouldn't do it. He would not do it. So as he continued to press, Wooden finally answered, and he says, what do I think about Bobby Knight? I think he's an outstanding teacher of the game of basketball. I do not approve of his methods, but I'm not a judge, and I'm not judging Bobby Knight. Then he said this, there is so much bad in the best of us, and so much good in the worst of us. It hardly behooves me to talk about the rest of us. So you think about that and what all that covers? It's really pretty good. Well, what was he saying? He recognized his own issues, and most people absolutely looked up to him, absolutely looked up to John Wooden. But he knew his own issues, because in the best of us, there's so much bad. In the worst of us, there's so much good, it really isn't hardly worth answering that reporter's question. And so I was very much impressed by that. At South Houston High School, there was a sign hung in the locker room, probably still there, which many would remember. It's very popular. It's in a lot of locker rooms. No pain, no gain, right? And as inductees, as everyone else who's here, coaches, I'd like you to ponder that expression in another way of no pain, no gain. What's another way to say it? Comparative uselessness is the condition of freedom from suffering. Comparative uselessness is the condition of freedom from suffering. No pain, no gain. My prayer for each of my fellow inductees, as well as for all of you in attendance here tonight, is that you'll be blessed with God's wisdom and that you will indeed finish strong by continuing to pay the price to make it all about the coaching and use your gifts to positively influence others to be the best they can be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Herman, and thank you, Steve, for that great speech. What a great evening this was. Did everybody have fun? We want to congratulate our inductees again, and we want to thank everybody for coming, and we hope that you have a safe trip home. At this time, we want to invite our inductees to come forward for a group picture, and would also like to invite the superintendent of schools and the school board to come up and join in that picture. Following that picture, the inductees will go to the front foyer where you can talk with them, and they also sign autographs. So we want to wish you the best, and thank you again for participating in our program.